Hey everybody, and welcome back to another wargame themed video. No gameplay video today because my voice is still a bit hoarse, and I just wanna take it a bit easy and not speak for like 30 minutes straight. But still a very important video. It's, as you see, about the Armory tool. It's a very important tool, I'd say, and especially if you want to get deeper into wargame and the stats, etc. I'd say even crucial to a certain extent, but let's just quickly get into it. So first of all, you just have to download the thing from the link. I'll post a link to the forum post obviously in the description. Download it and then just copy it onto your desktop. Mine is a bit messy, sorry for that, but whatever. Just unpack it. Then you'll just, once you start it the first time, you don't care. Tidy up and fuck off. The first time yes, you will get this message, but it's fine, don't worry about it. You will get asked whether to where your path is for the Wargame Dragon game. You know, it says here it should be something along the lines of Steam library, Steam apps, common Wargame Dragon, etc., etc. And once that is done, it should look something like this. With your local copies here. Those are just the copies of the 3 files that it needs to read out of. And then once you start it up, the Armory tool will look something like, give it a sec, sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes you will for some reason get this message. I don't know anything about this shit, but it's fine, don't worry about it. Then you will have this thing here. This contains literally every unit except for the FOBs, you know, and unless it got fixed. Yeah, no, it did not get fixed. Yeah, no FOBs in there anymore, or at all. Even some units that are not even in the game. Like, they are in the files, but you can't actually use them. For example, Japanese Self-Defense Force Rangers 90 were planned at some point, but obviously you can't see them in game. Or like Razzmann 90 with a different kind of unit card, you know, stuff like that. A second Fuchs Fifu for some reason, but yeah, that's not what I'm talking about. Obviously, a lot of people ask, how do I even read those stats? What does IDK IDK mean? Well, IDK simply stands for I don't know. As you can also see by the anime icon here, it's not really something quote unquote professionally done or something. He just did this in his pastime, you know. So some things may not look very appealing, but that's not the point. IDK basically means that this weapon or this unit, depending on what stat, just doesn't have any stat for it. There's a very easy way to look at it. Let's take a look at a Leopard. You know, Leopard Ace 1 and L7A3. That is the main gun. If you take a look at firepower, for example, and you will see that, you know, missile max speed. I don't know. You know, obviously a kinetic gun doesn't have any missile speed. Okay, so it's once you get the hang of it, it's very easy to understand. So let's just go over as an example, over the simple tab here. The most important tabs you will need are simple and firepower. There's recon, there's, you know, spotting cap versus helos versus planes, you know, the max range at which they can spot these types of units in theory, mobility, stuff like this. I rarely honestly visit these stats myself, because something like speed you can also see on simple, you know, and as you can see, some of these descriptions there, these are just taken straight from the files themselves. Those are the descriptions used by Eugen. Something like accuracy stabilizer, they had different types of description themselves, but he effectively just translated them. And there are some that he probably just doesn't understand himself, etc., etc., and stuff that's in general is either completely standardized or just irrelevant, you know. And he can also see effects from suppression, but it's in practice not really that important. The 2 main tabs you will ever look at are simple and firepower. Easier said, most importantly, even firepower. Let's just take a look at firepower here. You see that you will see that every tank has two then the name of its main gun twice here. That is because the HE gun and the kinetic gun are basically two different guns from a mechanical standpoint. There's a very easy way to look at it. By the way, if you click clone, you can just very easy open up a second window. If we take a look at the ASU 85, either one doesn't matter. You will see rate of fire 8, AP9, that's the kinetic gun. And if you change it to the other D70, you will see rate of fire 6, HE3. Even though on the unit card it says 8 rounds per minute, right? That's because the unit card, when it comes to rate of fire or something along those lines, it can only really display one of the two guns, That's the issue there. So let's just go over this. Simple, accuracy, stabilizer, AP, suppression should be straightforward. Rate of fire, and then we get to shot reload. Shot reload, salvo length, and salvo reload. That is something that you will definitely have to understand properly because that can be very important. Also, sorry by the way for the weird cut. Sometimes I just sometimes have to take a minute. How do I explain this? Okay, I know how to. Let's take a look at the smurge, right? Smurge, only one weapon, the cluster rockets. Salvo length 12, salvo reload 180, shot reload 2. What does this mean? Salvo length 12. That's the amount of shots that a weapon will shoot if you give it one fire position command, right? If you tell the Leopard AS1 to shoot at the ground 1500 meters away with a fire position command, it will shoot once, right? If you do it with a smurge, it will shoot 12 times. Sounds simple, right? The shot reload is the time between the shots within a salvo. So, because the smurge fires 12 times, after each shot of those 12 shots, it has to reload 2 seconds. Makes sense as well. You can also just test these in game. And then the salvo reload is the amount of time it takes to reload a full salvo. Now, you can cancel salvos, as you probably know. You can cancel a smurge midway and fire the next shot somewhere else. If you don't fully shoot the salvo, it doesn't have to reload for 180 seconds immediately. I believe the salvo reload already starts after the very first shot. So what that means is you can fire 6 shots, and if you wait 180 seconds and reload the smurge in the meantime, you can fire full all 12 shots again, not have to fire 6 shots and then reload for 180 seconds, if you get my point. So that is a very important distinction, what salvo length, salvo reload, and shot reload means. And that's very important to realize when a unit has an autoloader, because if you tell an autoloaded tank to fire position somewhere with its main gun, it will fire until it has no ammo left. If you look at the M84A, salvo length 28, ammo 28. We can try it out in game. Tell the M84A to fire position somewhere just once, and it will fire until it has no ammo left. Or if it gets resupplied at the same time, it will fire 28 shots. That is basically the way that Eugen models autoloaders, because salvo reload is the reload time that is affected by morale. So if your tank is panicked, your salvo reload is going to be like something along the lines of 18 seconds, 24 seconds. I don't even know the value myself. It's not even important. What you need to know is that it's very, very long. But the shot reload is never affected by morale. So in theory, if the M84 would stay panicked and it were to fire 28 shots, the 29th shot would actually be affected by morale if it was still panicked. Actually, it wouldn't. I think you can. It wouldn't work if it was standing next to a supply truck the whole time. But I believe it can't reload the salvo if there's no extra ammo. It's what I just said. Ignore it. It doesn't even matter. There's no practical purpose for it in game. What you need to know is shot reload not affected by morale. Salvo reload is affected by morale. Okay. That is also important for infantry. If we take a look at Fallschirmjäger. Let's take a look at the MG3. Salvo length 20. salvo reload 5, shot reload 0.8. It means it will, even if they're panicked, if they're shaken, if they're calm, when they first engage an enemy, they will shoot 20 shots with 0.8 seconds reload time between these shots. And then the salvo reload kicks in, and then the reload time is affected by morale. And that's why something like Fusilier 90, even though their MG might on paper have a high rate of fire per minute, right? Let's compare them with the normal Fusiliers. Right, on paper they have a higher rate of fire than the L7A1. But the L86 has only a salvo length of 3. So every 3 shots, they have to reload, which is affected by morale. If you look at the L7A1 or let's say an M240, the PKM, you know, they have all identical stats. They have to reload, their reload is affected by morale only after 10 shots. And that is, especially when you're just newly engaging an enemy, that can be very, very important. That's why, you know, you hear me often say, oh, salvo length on MG is important, you know. That's why don't just take a look at rate of fire. Take a look at other stats as well. I hope that should be everything that you need to know about shot reload. And right, I had the example of the Ondava and the Mista. Here you can also see salvo length 5, salvo length 10, salvo load 30. That's the same for, I think, every artillery piece, I believe. Yeah, even the 10HE ones. But if you take a look at the shot reload, 8.5 seconds, 6 seconds, right? Or if you take a look at the Ace 90, you know, shot reload 3.4 seconds and the salvo length of 3. You know, these are all things that in theory you could all, of course, just try in game, but nobody has time for that. And there is one weird kind of, or several, but you know, a couple of exceptions to the whole auto-loaded thing. Those are the Nanayon Shikis. They have like an in-between kind of system. So, order them a bit here. Firepower, firepower, firepower. Okay. Let me use a pen here. All right. So, if you look at the Nanayon Shiki, that by the way goes for every kind of Nanayon Shiki, right? These reload stats. So, using this as an example. If you look at Leopard 2A1, salvo length 1, no shot reload because they only have a salvo length of 1, you know. They literally have no shot reload. Salvo reload 6.6. Basically, every shot is its own salvo, right? We went over that. M84, salvo length 28. Whoops. 28, shot reload 6.6 as well, but also here, right? Same rate of fire. Now we have the Nanayon Shiki. Salvo length 4, ammo 32, shot reload 4, salvo reload 12. So what this means is the Nanayon Shiki will shoot 4 times. And these 4 shots, you know, after the first shot, it will reload 4 seconds. After the second shot, it will reload 4 seconds. After the third shot, it will reload 4 seconds again. And then after the fourth shot, after the salvo of 4 is complete, it will reload for 12 seconds. And these 12 seconds, these are affected by morale. The first 4 shots with a shot reload of 4 seconds are not, right? So that's why these Nanayon Shikis are a bit of an exception. Exception, of course. And I believe the AIM X13s have a similar kind of system. Yeah. Salvo length 12, shot reload 3, ammo 24, salvo reload 20. In practice, you will very, very rarely see the salvo reload of 20 seconds in effect. So, yeah. You will never affect that, but on the Nanayon Shiki, you can sometimes see that happen. That's why, even though Nanayon Shiki and the Leopard 1 line, they both have 10 rounds per minute, right? And even in the Armory, you will all see this. 10 rounds per minute, but then you have the short reload of 4 and a salvo reload of 6. You know, the leopard one will always shoot one after 6 seconds, every time, assuming it's calm. The 9-round Chicky will shoot 4 seconds with 4 shots with 4 seconds reload time, and then reload for 12 seconds, right? That's, you know, stuff that you can't, that you might not notice, or you're like, wait, these two tanks have both 10 RPM, they engage each other, but the 9-round Chicky for some reason got the second shot out much faster. What? That doesn't make sense, right? And you know, that's how you can take a look at how this works. You can also see the noise for the values, right? The higher caliber guns have bigger noise. Noise basically meaning if you're shooting and you are in cover or not spotted, the bigger the noise, the easier it is for the enemy to spot you. And that's why if you take a look at Maglens and their Spike MR, we take a look at, oh god, how are they? Okay, I got it. And the Spike MR used by Finland, they have the same or very, very similar stats, but a much different noise value because Maglens are OP. And you can also see that the Maglen spikes, they accelerate slower, right? Missile max acceleration is basically how fast they will reach their maximum speed of 1400 in this case, and is, I believe, also this, or maybe it's just this, I'm not even 100% certain myself. It's effectively also the starting speed, I believe. You know, if you take a look at Milan, you know, you can see that the Milan here is of course much slower, as you would expect, you know. Or if you take a look at Chumat, which are very similar in terms of speed, you know, they basically start at 1000. You know, they don't have the same maximum speed, but they have the same starting speed, right? So they're not quite as good, but they're still very, very good compared to spikes. Is there anything else that I should cover? Planes? Is there anything about planes? I don't think there's anything too significant about planes. I believe you can see. I'm not 100% certain even what the angle dispersion means, to be completely honest with you. I'm not sure if it has to do with whether a gun is quote unquote turreted or not. So go to P. Yeah, no, I honestly don't even know myself, right? There's so many stats that I don't understand myself, but they are not as nearly as important. What is important is most of the time this field in terms of firepower. This is what you will most of the time look at. And then you also have stealth here, you know, which isn't as important because nearly all stealth values are standardized anyways. So the different CDQs all have a stealth of 1.5 because they have medium stealth. What about the Verkenning? Also medium stealth. M84AN, also 1.5 medium stealth, right? There's only a few I think the Tiger is one exception. It has good stealth, you know, but BGS, who also have good stealth, actually have a value of 2. I remember it's been quite a while ago that the stealth of the Tiger got nerfed from what I presume was 2 is now 1.75. You can also see air optics and ground optics. Obviously, ground optics is what you need versus helicopters. Air optics solely versus planes, which is why something like, you know, let's take a look at Marksman, right? Ground optics 60, air optics 250, and still it won't really spot a Tiger, right? That's why AA struggles against something like a Tiger. Then there are, I think, a few units, a few recon units. Yeah, Spetsnaz crew, for example, have 80 air optics. What about Fernspeer? They have 40, for example. I'm not 100% certain myself what translates into better air optics, but I believe that the Spetsnaz crew, for some reason, have better air optics, right? And there's mobility. Again, you don't really need that much, right? I think that's really all there is to know, right? Every main gun, or every gun that has oh no, every main gun also has a extra 1 meter version, which is for CQC. As you can see, the AKS-74U, which is a carbine for in-game purposes, has 80% accuracy in stabilizers for when the enemy is in 1 meter range, right? For every other range, it's a 60 and 40% accuracy, right? Whereas the assault rifle on the base specialities, have literally the same stats. I think that's it. I think that's all there is to say. Of course, I didn't mention it, but I think it should be fairly straightforward. You can just straight up filter it by nations and tabs only if you want to, or just all in all and use the search field. Availability, base availability, you can see on which veterans see which, And I think that's really all that needs to be said about this. Hope I didn't forget anything. At least nothing important. So yeah. I hope this was useful to you. Link of course to the forum post will be in the description and in the comments. Gameplay video should be up on Sunday hopefully. And yeah, I'll see you then.